entertain them. And we've got an incredible group of panelists here. One of the things that was really important to us just before we get to introductions was to make sure that we are answering your questions and that the topics, things that we were chatting about here on the stage really resonate with you. So although we will make time for questions at the end, if something in the discussion pops a question into your mind and you want to ask it right away because it's on topic with what the panelists are discussing, please put up your hand. I'll try to do my best to watch the hands. If you guys can help me out as well, if you notice hands. That way we can make sure that we are getting to everyone's curiosities that come up throughout the discussion. So, to start things off, as you were introduced, I'm Tracy, I'm from Left. You got to hear about my wonderful colleague Ashley and our business earlier on today, so I won't go too much into what Left does. But wanted to give you guys a chance to introduce yourselves and just let everyone know maybe a little bit more about yourselves. If you have core values, maybe share one of your core values, what kind of guides you, and then we'll take it from there.
I don't have core values. Steve is my name. I'm the Senior Vice President at Kirchhoff Technologies. You heard from Wim earlier, our CEO. So one of the hats that I wear is people and talent development. So hiring, firing, and all that good stuff. So we are probably, well, 2 years ago we were at about 8 people. Today we're at 21. So not a huge company, but huge in terms of we're in startup mode again and really considering what it means to grow rock star people and even superstars. So we do hire based on values. One of them is, like Wim referred to, respect. I won't unpack exactly what that means because I could talk for hours about that. But yeah, I'm really excited to kind of share some of my insights. A lot of what I planned to say has already been said. So I'll do my best to maybe offer something new and insightful, but glad to be here.
Hi, I'm Megan. I am the Director of HR for Propel. Propel is the oil and gas equipment manufacturing division for Tycrop Manufacturing. We're out here in Chilliwack, so it's nice to do something close to home for once. Our values are actually also our tagline, which is Perform, Protect, and Propel. We like that it's our tagline because then everybody can remember it, and those values can mean something different for everybody. And from our juniorest employees to our most senior employees, they can really adapt those values into their everyday life. So my favorite value is Propel, and Propel means lots of different things to different people, but to me, in my role, what it means is that we want to make sure that each individual is propelling their career forward, and they are having the opportunities that they want to have, and they can reach for the stars.
Thanks. Hi folks, I'm Dave Harper. I'm here as the Director of Innovation and Entrepreneurship at the University of Fraser Valley. Our values there are community, excellence, inclusion, and I should know them all. We just did them, so and excellence. I also wear a second hat as the Director, the CEO of the Discovery Foundation. I know a lot of you from there, and we're a tech enabler in BC here. So. And really, I'm here to listen to you. Part of what the University of Fraser Valley wants to do is engage with the community in a more meaningful way by hearing what your needs are in terms of skills and training. I have some of my own thoughts about that, and then we have sort of an institutional plan going forward that will help to greater integrate the University of the Fraser Valley into the economic development of Eastern Fraser Valley.
Great. Actually, Dave, I'm going to come back to you for a second. Being with the University of the Fraser Valley, what are you seeing are some of the biggest challenges or obstacles for attracting and retaining talent in the Fraser Valley, and sort of how has the university come in to support or bring in some strategies that everyone should be aware of?
I think it's a great question because I think the university itself has the same issues as the rest of you attracting talent. We have this beautiful environment that we live in. We live in a great country and a great province, and a beautiful part of British Columbia, so that's all the advantage side. You know, the challenges are a lot of challenges of other places. What kind of infrastructure do we have? What opportunities do we have to grow and develop, both physically and conceptually? And what kind of support do we have in the community? Do we have from government and the like? So it's a balancing act. What we're trying to do is add value to the community here by providing the kind of skills and training that we think are of value to the tech community here in the Eastern Fraser Valley. But in order to do that, we need to be more agile. We need to listen more. We need to be more agile. We need to hear what your needs are and then provide that training through innovative means. It takes a long time to develop degrees and so on, often 6 to 8 years before we can have graduates, and that's just not applicable to the changing textbooks. We need to be able to develop the skills amongst our students that will benefit your companies. And so I think one of the important things is not to focus on skills so much, to focus on culture, as you were saying earlier. And so if you look at what we have to do, I think, in this changing era is think about what machines are going to replace, and then what we can do as educational institutions to provide what machines can't do. And I think it's really 3 areas. So one is complex problem solving. Machines can solve simple problems, but complex problems, human problems, are very challenging, and machines just can't do that. The other one is teamwork and collaboration. So in our programming, we provide those sorts of opportunities to students to work in teams and work on problems that are either real problems, like City Studio, we're engaged with Abbotsford to look at real problems in the community, or hypothetical problems in the learning process. And the third one, of course, is leadership. And to me, the 3 most important things of leaders are that they're accountable, and they're vulnerable, and they're authentic. And I think if we can train our students to become leaders in their own way, not necessarily leaders of businesses or leaders in the community, but leaders in their own lives with those skills, and then give them what we call the transferable skills that will allow them to be adaptable to this rapidly changing workplace environment, then I think we're doing a service to the community. So really, what we'd like to do is hear from you and let us know. I've already heard from a couple of you today saying, this is what we need from the University of Fraser Valley. So we want to hear more of that, and we want to do a better job responding to those needs.
Is there a specific way that they can get involved in that conversation? Is it reaching out to you or their networks?
Sure, yeah. So I'm the Director of Innovation and Entrepreneurship. My name is David Harper up there. It's just david.harper@ufv.ca. Or you can just you call up our phone system, and you can just ask me, and they'll put you through to me. But the easiest way to get from me is by email. And if you send me a note, I'll set up a meeting. You can come on campus, or I'll meet in the community. And if you want to show me what you're doing, I'd love to come and see it. If you want to come and see what we're doing at UFV, we'd love to have you on campus. So david.harper@ufv.ca.
So Steve, we chatted initially sort of before this conversation just about candidate experience and attracting talent and really having an employer brand and a candidate experience that creates brand ambassadors for all the people that you come into contact with. So I'm curious to know, at Kirchhoff Technologies, what are some of the unique things that you're doing in terms of a candidate experience to really attract and create these people that want to work for you but will also speak highly of your company?
Yeah, so I can share 3 things real quick because the candidate experience is very important to us, as I'm sure it's very important to each one of you. So one of the things we pay attention to is the role, like has been mentioned many times throughout the day. So it's very important to know your role, but one thing that I would like to emphasize and encourage you all to think about is pay attention and know the role that you need to fill today. It's very easy, kind of at the higher levels, when you get a bunch of leadership, visionary people in the room, it's easy to talk about what we might need 3, 4, 5 years from now, and then you put together a nice 2-page role description that sounds great, and it includes everything that you need, but then you have to hire someone to somehow do all of that stuff, and they're probably not going to be ready. So pare it down, be disciplined, and come to terms with what you need that person to do today. Because the last thing you want to do is hire someone who's not ready to do what you need them to do today. It's very demoralizing when they come in and they realize, oh wow, I'm not ready for that. It's no surprise that they're not ready for it because you don't need that role until 2 or 3 years from now. So focus on what you need today. The second thing, very practically, make it very easy for people to apply. Whatever kind of search engine optimization you use, put your ad for your position right on that landing page so people can't miss it. Put it where people are going to see the ad so that they can easily apply and there's as few barriers as possible. And the last thing I would say that we do, we pay a lot of attention to this, and I know for some of you who are larger, this might be a bit of a barrier, but I still want to encourage you to pay attention to it, is be personal. Be personal along each stage of the interview process. So in interview finishes, whether it's stage 1, stage 2, whatever, send a personal note. Thank you for taking the time to come in and speak with us. The other thing that I would encourage you to do is if you do not select someone, send them a personal note and give them some feedback about why you did not select them. A lot of times what we're trending to do is just say, hey, you know what, we're only going to contact those candidates that we invite to apply, and then the person who's not successful doesn't hear from anyone again. The tech community, as much as it's expanding, is still a very small community and people will talk. So you talk about brand ambassadors, you know, if you give a person, even if you don't select them, a very good experience, they're going to walk away going, hey, you know what, that sucks, I missed out, but wow. Company A, Kirkhoff Technologies, your own company, that was really well done. And they'll spread that around. So, hey, I'm sorry I didn't select you, but here's the reason why. 1, 2, 3. And maybe they learned something, so the next time they can have a better experience that way. So those are some of the things we're focused on.
Awesome, thank you. I know at Left, one of the things that we did, which was a really easy switch for is sort of creating that brand ambassador and also sharing our culture. We heard culture is king earlier. Every in-person interview in our offices starts with a tour of the office. And that's led everyone in our offices trained to give culture tours. And that way they get a chance to really understand what it is like at Left, and then they carry that with them and they'll talk to other people. So we get that sort of exponential effect of people coming into our office. So I think that brand experience and that brand ambassador is really, really important. Meghan, at Propel, what sort of things are you guys doing that are maybe a little bit unique for attracting your candidates?
I think for us, the biggest thing that we do that is maybe different from other members in the manufacturing community is we try to start really young. We think that education is really important, and not necessarily the education that you go and get at the university or in high school, but education on what your industry is and even what your product mix is. Kids can apply for opportunities that they don't know exist. And people don't know what to search if you don't tell them what is out there. And so we try to work with kids even as young as in elementary school. We work with them and we do skills workshops and we play with Connects and we tell them about what we build and why we build it and why those careers might be good things in the future. And we try to talk to them about their parents' jobs and how what we do relates to what their parents do, and so that they can really feel that personal connection. So as they grow in their education, they keep thinking about maybe manufacturing careers or maybe technology careers or whatever it is that you're presenting as your go-to. I think that it's really important to put time and energy into doing that and just not expecting that there is a whole bunch of people in a pipeline waiting to come and work for you. So I think that's the biggest thing. And then being really, really honest throughout your interview process. Jobs aren't always pretty. There's some fun aspects, but there's always not great aspects of the job. The worst thing you can do is bring in a candidate who thinks it's all rainbows and sunshine, and then it's not. So be honest, and there's people that will like all of the parts of the job. So that's really important. One fun thing that we've done over the last couple of years is we've actually, when we hire a candidate, we send them a little package, a little card welcoming them to the company, talking about our values. We get our president to sign off on it, and it's just kind of that personal message, send them a little bit of swag so they really feel like they're part of the family before they come on board. And I think the real value of doing that is that sometimes it's really hard to leave your company and you give a month's notice or whatever and people are trying to convince you to stay and it's a real struggle and you don't hear from the company you're going to work for in that whole month. And you sometimes forget the reasons why you're stepping away from where you currently are at. And so we just like to make sure that we're sending people a reminder of what they're getting into.
Thank you, Meghan. I love the bit that you mentioned about authenticity and transparency in the role. I think that's really great. No surprises. It's an awesome thing to do. Steve, I'm going to come back to you just for a minute, just around Chilliwack and the office location. We know that Fraser Valley is growing in terms of tech, but what are some of the things that you do to differentiate, being that you are located in Chilliwack, to attract talent? Because you're not in downtown Vancouver, which is where most people's heads go to, I think.
Yeah, so we did get these questions ahead of time so we could prepare some answers, and I was really fighting to come up with something really pithy to say, but the answer that is kind of like, duh. You know, like all you have to do is just kind of turn your head around like 180 degrees and see where we are and go, why would you not want to come out here? And so, but because that's not a really good answer to give to someone, I had to come up with something pithy to say. So, a couple of things. So I live in Abbotsford, and so my commute is beautiful, not just in terms of the scenery, but when I get on the highway and come east, I get to pass all the dumb saps going west into Vancouver, and I'm waving because it takes me 22 minutes to get from door to door. And I know that they're not going to get to their office until like 10:30 in the morning. And so that really is reason one. And so the way that we actually apply that for us is we try to invite people to come, like say they're coming from Vancouver or somewhere down, like further toward Vancouver. We'll have them come out to the office. We haven't implemented this yet, but this is an idea that I have. We're going to invite them to come out during rush hour, like first thing in the morning, and just have them experience that commute coming east. And just go, hey, how did that go? Like really? And then they're like, wow, that was really easy. Okay, well, would you foresee yourself doing that on a regular basis? Now, we probably wouldn't hire someone if they're living in Vancouver, but when they come out and experience just kind of the breath of fresh air as they're driving on the highway coming east, it is a big attraction for people. So the other thing that we do is, and this is just our CEO is just very generous, but we pay them more. You know, we offer them a higher salary because we know that sometimes it's a little bit of a mental barrier to come out into the valley, out to Chilliwack, and then they just can't make that mental leap at times. And so we try to offer them a very good compensation package to incentivize them to come out. The other thing is we do sell them depending on their age, of course, but we do want our people to stay long term. But hey, wouldn't you want to just stay here for a long time, settle down, get into a home that might be easier for you to get into in this area than it would be in Vancouver or closer to Vancouver, start a family, put down some roots, and those types of things. And so it's much more kind of the cultural pieces as opposed to here's what the statistics say about moving out to Chilliwack, but it really is just experienced it firsthand and the benefit of being in the valley. That's a really simple, kind of maybe oversimplified answer to the question, but I couldn't think of anything more technical to say.
Yeah, I think sometimes when we look, we're like, why not?
Hello.
Dave, sort of thinking from your perspective, you wear a wide variety of hats, but sort of how is UFV and even your other roles, how are you helping to create and grow an innovation hub out here in the Fraser Valley? And what are some things that maybe our audience isn't aware of that exist?
I love that, because and Craig Jones is here, our important Craig at UFB, and he knows I'm a moonshot guy. I just talk about crazy ideas I have. So this is the crazy idea I have for the Fraser Valley, Eastern Fraser Valley. This is my vision of the future. And I kind of, if you know Parms to do at the airport, he's kind of a crazy moonshot guy like me. I look at what we have here and all the things that are going on. We have a beautiful place to live. We have a border. We have a highway. We have a river that's a fisheries river. We have our First Nations communities here. We have great diversity. We've got the best country in the world to live in. We've got this really dynamic, innovative culture here. We produce more startups than I think we're number 14 on the planet in terms of startup production. BC right now produced 13,500 jobs last quarter. That's number 1 in North America for the rate of production of new jobs in the tech sector. This place is just booming, but we have a problem. And the problem is, a lot is happening in Vancouver, and Vancouver is too expensive to attract that C-level, C-suite talent to grow your company to, you know, a unicorn or a $100 million revenue company. We have a solution. It's Eastern Fraser Valley. We have the best quality of life. What I see in 20 years is people are going to be talking about Silicon Valley. That's going to be old and hacky. They're going to be talking about the Fraser Valley. And they're going to be talking about how we developed our community to be a modern agro-tech community that encompasses all of what is great about Canada in this space. You're going to see people flying from Redmond, Washington into Abbotsford because this is where the action's going to be. And what we have to do is create that energy and some of the physical infrastructure. And don't tell me there's no land. All you have to do is talk to the Stono. They have land and they're open for business. We have the room, we have the space, we have the people, we have the talent, we have the energy. What we need is the money and the long-term planning. And I really want to thank the organizers of this event, because you know, one of the things with the hats where I get to talk to the ministers sometimes, when I was talking to Ralston, I said, you know, in Vancouver, what do you see west? Well, it's water. What do you see north is mountains. What do you see south is a border. east is where we need to go, and it's the Eastern Fraser Valley. And it's a massive opportunity for us. So what we need to do is plan carefully, like John was saying, you know, 1, 5, 10 years out, what it's going to look like then. And if we want that dream, we can have, we just have to plan for it, and we have to make sure that the community things have to be affordable, you know, acceptable, and the community has to buy in. But I feel that energy. I feel that entrepreneurial energy when I talk to the people in the city councils at Setco and at Abbotsford. I hear that energy. They want this to happen, but in a way that the people that live here now will accept. So we don't want to turn this into a massive city, but we do want to turn it into a massive experiment where we show how people are going to live sustainably in the future in a burgeoning, very rapidly changing technical world.
So who do you think needs to be a part of that conversation? Who are those stakeholders that need to be in that room that are pushing that forward?
We need, well, we have the entrepreneurs, we have the talent, we need, well, if you look at the ecosystem, I mean, Rocky had that up there earlier, we know who the players are in the ecosystem. We need the government, provincial government, federal government to buy in and support us, and they have various means to do that. But we need to keep raising we need to collectively keep raising our voices and saying this is the solution for the future of tech, not just in BC, but in Canada. And this is the place where we can build it, and this is the place where we have to build it, and we just have to have the will to do it. So we have to start, you know, talking to our politicians. We have to start talking to our community leaders, and we have to keep organizing in groups like this to let everybody know that we're here and we're ready to play.
Thank you. Switching gears a little bit, and I'm kind of focused now on balancing people. How do we keep them? Because we all know that turnover rates are increasing. The cost of losing someone and filling that role is huge. And so I'm curious, actually, from all of you, how can we go about attracting, once we've got them, how do we engage them? How do we retain them? What are some of the things that you guys are doing in your organizations?
For us, I think that there's no silver bullet, but I think the most important thing that we can do to retain our employees is to listen to them. Our employees want to connect with our purpose, they want to have their own purpose, and they want to be free to help the organization succeed. And so, provided that we're furnishing them with things like one-page plans, and they know the infrastructure in which they need to work, they have great ideas, and when you implement those great ideas, they feel the wins, and they want to work there. They want to help you succeed even further. So I really think that that's the most important thing. Listen, take suggestions to heart, don't rush off good ideas, or even bad ideas. Sometimes bad ideas can spur on some really interesting discussions. I think the other thing is to invest in young people. If they want to go out and learn something new, let them go out and learn something new, even if it's maybe not totally relevant to what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, and let them be advocates for your organization and the community. So if somebody has a passion to volunteer somewhere and maybe they need to do that during work hours, let them do it, because they're going to be an ambassador for your organization and talking about what they're doing and why the organization is letting them kind of leave to spur their passion. So I think those are the biggest things, is let people grow, let people talk, let people have ideas, and really support the heck out of them.
I would love to actually continue with Meghan for just one more minute. We chatted a little bit about your one-page plan, your career development. You guys have created a really sustainable process at Propel, and I was just wondering if you could share maybe a little bit more about how you went about doing that process, executing it, how you maintain it, just so that our audience can know a little bit more insight.
So one of the big things that we took on probably 2.5 years ago at Propel is we read the book The Advantage. We got really excited about it and its one-page plan philosophy. So we got together as a leadership team and we developed out our one-page plan. What are our focuses? What are our short-term goals? What are our long-term goals? What are our quarterly objectives? And we wrote them down on one page, and it literally is one page, and I think that's really important. Then we told our organization about our one-page plan, and we asked our leaders in each department to develop their own plans that kind of help us reach the overall organizational plan. So each department made their own one-page plan. All of their goals and objectives and focuses led up into that bigger plan. And then we went even further, and we asked each of our employees to make their own one-page plan, and we call it a check-in. And basically, it's an opportunity for each of our employees to talk about what they do best, what they've accomplished, what challenges they face, where they want to go next. There's a little suggestion box, so if they feel like there's something that we could do better as an organization, they have an opportunity to voice that. And then we make sure as an HR team that when we are reading through these and speaking to our management team about the individual employee one-page plans, we really follow up on the things that they put in there. We circle back and we say, okay, you said that you want to do X, how can we help you do that? Or this was your suggestion and this is what we're doing with that suggestion, and really following through.
Love that. Follow-up is so key when you're asking for feedback. Steve, would you like to chat about how you engage your employees?
Yeah, for sure. So we base our 1 week plan for any new hire on the research that says that new person's experience in the first week will determine whether they stay with the company long term. And so we put together a very robust, highly, it's just really policed, really, 1 week onboarding plan. And the first thing that we do is we assign one person in the company to make sure that that person is with that new employee every minute of the day in that first week. Not in a weird way, but just as a way to say, hey, are you done here? This is your next thing. Let me walk you over. And okay, how was that? What's next? How are you doing? What's going on? Communicate and all of those types of things. But being very, very judicious in terms of how you spend your time with that new employee in the first week. And then what we do also is we give lots of feedback. We ask for feedback from them about how it's going, but we are always very liberal in terms of how much feedback we give along the way, and to say, hey, I noticed this. Why don't you try this, because you're going to run into something hard down the road, so maybe just tweak this. Or, hey, I saw you doing that over there, that's good, but this is probably the best way to do it, and this is the better person to talk to get help on that. So that 1 week onboarding plan for us has been huge. The last thing I'll say, Tracy, hang on, is we do not want any part of that new person's day in that first week to be kind of sedentary. And so if that person is kind of looking at the ceiling tiles, wondering what to do next, that's a big deal for me. And so we want that person to be engaged. We want that person to be busy. We don't want to exhaust them and chase them out. But we want them to be fully engaged, getting to know the company, training, yes, but getting to know the team and the culture and beginning to become part of the fabric of the organization.
Huge props to you for the 1 week onboarding. We do that as well. And we get constant feedback how, it's just the best experience they've had joining the company and being felt like we're really excited to have them. Dave, do you have any thoughts just how to engage, I wonder, even from like a student perspective in tech, and how to kind of inspire those young minds?
So we kind of recruit on a couple levels. We recruit students, and we have, I think, about 20% of our student body now are international students. But then we also recruit faculty, and we recruit staff. And interestingly, we do a little dog fooding, because about 60+% of I learned that last week. So that's where you you use your own product or hire your own people. So about 60+% of the staff at UFB are actually former graduates of our programs at UFB. In my own department, I think 3 or 4 of the department members, it's a department of about 16 were our own students at one time. So that's a great sign, actually, if people want to actually come and work where they learn. And I like to think of UFB as the best place to work and learn in BC. And so we have some advantages and disadvantages. We're a public sector thing. Our pay rates aren't super high. We can't just bump up and hire somebody by offering them more money. So what we do is we have a great benefits package. We have lots of support when people come on that are new, whether they're staff or faculty. And for students, we're starting to take a design thinking approach. I'm trying to help foster that towards our students, them being our end users or our end customers, and doing everything we do in terms of the student experience as opposed to the customer experience, and making sure that the journey that we take them on is a journey that they want to be on. So all of those things seem to be working quite effectively, and I would think most people that work or learn at UFB are having a great time doing it.
Awesome. You kind of led us into where I wanted to go next, which was if you are in an organization where you can't pay the highest salary, what can you do? And you mentioned a few things, benefits, but are there any other things that you offer your employees as a way to entice them and to keep them and keep them happy?
Sure. So, you know, we've just hired a new president a year and a bit ago, and she was in